All right, this is week one of CS News in 2024. Um, we got Brass Premier Fall Groups ending a couple days ago and a couple other headlines coming out today. We'll touch on those later, but the first thing I want to talk about is kind of the storylines coming out of here of Blast Premier Fall Groups. Um, Here's the placements, and a few names kind of jump off to you at the placements that really should be there, shouldn't be there. First, we'll just kind of talk with the new and the old, kind of the just everyone should know, everyone should expect, I guess, is vitality and spirit finishing in those top spots. Navi also qualifying for the finals. That's expected out of them. It should happen. Same with G2, even though they are a new roster with the addition of Snacks and Mobs. You still have those stars like Nico and Manezi that really, just keep hitting for the team game after game. And, it's no surprise to see them up there in the top. Um, However, we do have, out of those four, there's still two more teams to talk about. Kind of two surprises, really, is Liquid and Astralis. Astralis, kind of a pretty, I guess, newish team as they were kind of new. I guess start of last season. Really, this whole roster's really only been together for really, as you can see, 5 months. But kind of the core of the team's been here for about a year. Device obviously being the long time Shaw's player going to NIP there for a couple years, but coming back eventually. And you also do have that core of Astralis, or sorry, Heroic rather, with Yabi and Stavin. Kind of a surprise to see them qualify. They have been playing good as of late, but I don't think anyone expected them to qualify, especially with kind of the teams in this groups. But the one surprise here is definitely Liquid, kind of their first tournament, or I guess group stage, coming out of this new roster with JKS, Ultimate, Yakinder, NAF, and of course Twist being at IGL and Mithra as the coach. A really big surprise, and also beating Navi twice in very close games, very exciting games to watch. And I think, um, you know, that's going to be interesting to see what they do at Cologne. Obviously, they have the plans, I think, against Ping um, coming up, so that'll be a bit interesting to watch. But kind of a developing storyline out of there is, and I'd like to talk about Liquid for a little bit. Yakinder, obviously, I'd like to touch on first is we like to see, in the past hasn't really, I guess, the past season with the Cadian and Skulls iteration of the Liquid hasn't really been the best, and we haven't really seen him, um, I guess, contribute to the team as much as we should. Yes, he still is a good player, and you know he has that potential there, but this isn't the level we've been expecting out of him. He's kind of one of the top guys that you expect to come out of this roster. Kind of expect to see him up there in the top, but I think during this tournament, we really saw him at the level that we should have seen him at in this last season. Really, what we saw at Dallas. It's good to see someone like Ikenner come out of that kind of slump and come back and play to the level he was playing at. Good aggressive plays like he was. I think some of the interviews that I've watched and some of the interviews, with HLTV and all that, he's kind of said, he hasn't been sugarcoating it all. He did bad, and I think he's really made a good impact on the team this tournament. Another also big storyline is Ultimate, kind of this new and no one really knows of him coming out of the scene. He had a honestly great tournament. Just go back into there real quick. Liquid, kind of surprised everyone, but I think really Ultimate surprised everyone with kind of how he performed on these maps against Navi. Um, you know, a 1.11 rating against Navi. Again, not the best rating, kind of the fourth best player on Liquid's team, but against VP and against Navi, really, he kind of showed himself to be, maybe even the next, Kenny S, the um, next Monesi. He's kind of really showed a very aggressive play style, and that's kind of what he said in his interviews too. Um, and he really has shown that, uh, you know, he can do this. And again, I think what they showed against Navi and kind of the resilience that this whole team has showed has been great. I don't want to touch on them too much. But again, I think this Ultimate guy has a really, really, um, really good future ahead of him, no matter who he goes with. And we'll be looking forward to seeing him play, and really the entirety of Liquid and how they're playing, especially JKS having kind of the off games. Looking forward to see how they play in the next Cologne and see if they qualify. But we have that on Wednesday coming up, and hopefully that'll be good. Some other teams that kind of were surprised is Faze not even qualifying. They didn't even make it to the group decider stage. I think they lost to they got knocked out by NIP again. Kind of a big storyline coming out, but you kind of expect from these big names, Rain, Kerrigan, Rops, Brokey, Frozen. You kind of expect these guys to show up, and I think this tournament, I don't think all of them were kind of on the same level at all times. You have players like Frozen, coming in, performing a map, and then you see him fall off the next map, and then you have Rops take his place. That kind of just happened throughout the whole tournament, which it's very disappointing to see him from a Faze team, that especially this iteration. And they were played great CS. I think they missed maybe a couple grand finals of the major tournaments last season. And it's just really disappointing to see a team like that kind of just come out and just not perform. Same with Virtus Pro. I mean, they did lose to Liquid in the first stage, which, I mean, you can kind of put off and say no one really knows, what their play style is. No one really knows how they play, what maps their death pool is at. Map pool depths at. But then they go up against Vig and just again really don't show up. Kind of the same thing as Faze, and it really really disappointed to see from a team like that. I think James did a great job calling, great job doing what he does, and I just think the rest of the team didn't show up. But yeah, one last thing that kind of comes out of this that kind of glares off the page is NIP. Again, a newer team that's not really expected to be good. And again, kind of the same situation with Ultimate. They picked up this wrinkle guy, and what a player he was. He played great versus Faze, great versus C9, and they went up against C2 and Astralis, and unfortunately lost. But this guy's young. He plays, excellent CS, and he really is kind of this next big story coming out. And people are kind of already comparing him to kind of the next Simple. And if this guy keeps performing like he is, I really think he can do that. And I think that he could, just become a star hopper. And maybe NIP isn't the right fit for him. Maybe it is. We're kind of in the early stage of this, and it's not. You can't call anything here. All these results that we've seen, it's just a group stage at the end of the day. All these teams, Faze can qualify to the fall final. NIP can qualify again in the fall showdown, which will be exciting to see when that comes up. But you never know what could happen. Faze could lose first round, and some team like Saw could make it like they did last year. But kind of to disengage from that Blasphemous Fall group, something kind of big is Joel from the up and coming BC game was banned and obviously played for Monty. Don't know why I blinked on that. For a small time, but he was banned for, I think, let's see, breach of anti-corruption code, and kind of, I think, yeah, banned for anti-cheat, removed from BC game roster and under investigation. And it's kind of sad to see this team that had kind of a little bit of aspiration, a little bit of hope, kind of in the back scenes. I wasn't really watching them, but they were kind of on my radar again. Guardian as a coach could have been exciting to see, and obviously Lecro was his kind of get back into the scene. We haven't really seen him, and he went to Dignitas, did okay. Kind of stopped. We're on these kind of teams every now and then, and joined BC Games, and was expected to kind of do something maybe, but obviously, with that ban of Akros with the anti-cheat, I think it's going to be quite a issue for that team, and we might even see the disbandment of that team, which would be kind of disappointing. But things like that just happen in the scene. upcoming events, obviously we have Cologne up and coming. We have the play-in starting on the 7th. Really, really excited to see some teams. I'm really excited to see Furia play with Skulls, and they've had a few tournaments up until now. I think they had, yeah, the World Cup. Yeah, they had the World Cup, and I don't know if the Compass had that Skulls iteration roster. Yeah, they didn't. But I'm really excited to see how they do. I mean, they showed a lot of promise within the Esports Cup. Yeah, they did lose to Navi first round, but they managed to claw it back um, in that lower bracket qualification. They beat Mongols, which is a big, big accomplishment, and put one map of one mouse. And I'm really excited to see, what Skulls does, how the whole team performs around Fallen, around his leadership. And yeah, I'm just excited to see that. And again, I like to see the big names. I like to see Faze with a big bounce back. Mouse again, kind of a question mark on them how they'll do, but I think they'll do well. VP needs to bounce back as well from that tournament, and we'll kind of see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I think there's a lot of this tournament is a lot of just a lot of time for teams to kind of show themselves, kind of make do on their mistakes maybe they made in this blast group. As you have teams like Heroic and Complexity that maybe could have made it into the groups like Complexity, or made it into like maybe a further run into the stage, kind of prove themselves and kind of show why they're the big dogs. And then also teams like Fury and Liquid and Falcons, or yeah, maybe even Falcons as well, just kind of need to prove themselves again, and kind of show who they are. And then, you obviously have teams like Mongols and Eternal Fire have been, big, solid teams in the scene, are expected to qualify, and it's going to be exciting to see them play. And one big thing that I have coming up, in my eyes, is 9Z. I'm really excited to see how they play, especially after that performance in Dallas and then winning their tournaments on their home. So I forget what tournament that was. Yeah, Fire League. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how they do, and really big question mark for how they do. But I think they're going to do well. This Martinez, honestly, really good up and coming player. I think that everyone should keep an eye on him and just see how he plays. And I think he should get maybe within a year or the next 6 months should honestly hopefully get a spot on a big team. And I was hoping Liquid would honestly pick him up, as I'm a Liquid guy. But I think we found someone better. So we'll see how that happens. We have Cologne to look forward to, and then the Fall Showdown right after that. So yeah, Bet Boom as well, Belgrade, but that'll be in the later future. So yeah, that's been the news for this week. We'll be back next week, and maybe towards the end of Cologne, we'll see how we're doing. But yeah, hope you all have a great night, and peace out.